Hello networkers, and welcome back to another episode of Ask the Network Engineer, where I will answer one of your questions. And in this episode, I want to do something different because I am way behind with answering many of your questions, because I've been getting a lot of great questions from you guys and I have been falling way behind. So I want to catch up and do what is called a speed round, where I will actually pick various questions that are very quick to answer. And that's what we're going to do. So we'll go through a lot of great questions that you guys have, quickly answer them, and we'll try to do more of these speed round type episodes so that your questions will be answered. And question number one is by Anthony Arrington, and he asks, very simple, how can I become a network security engineer? So really there's two parts to this. The first is the type of certifications that you get, and the other is the kind of working experience and training that you get. So in terms of certifications, you want to focus on getting security related certifications. So specifically, things like if you're focusing on the Cisco track, these are certifications like the CCNA for security, CCNP for security, and if you want to go higher than that, there is a specialty for the CCIE focus on security. But don't stop just there. You want to do other certifications as well. And one of them is the Palo Alto Network Certification exam. You definitely want to get that, because that on your resume, having Cisco security and Palo Alto Network security, looks very, very nice. Now there's other certifications that are really high level, and one of them is the CISSP. But that's more for information security, like the people who actually make these security policies, the do's and don'ts to do on the network, desktops, users, things like that. So getting that is very powerful. Imagine having an operational certifications, the Cisco, the Palo Alto Networks, but you also have more of the information security side, which is what the CISSP is. So I know a lot of security people, they have that. They get some of the security certification for Cisco and the Palo Alto Networks firewall, but they also get the CISSP, which is a great complement with their experience and on their resume. The other thing that is really important is the kind of experience and the training that you get that will make you a network security engineer. Again, it is focused on security. So that means your experience, your training needs to be focused on firewalls, not just firewalls, but next generation firewalls. And that also includes application control or application firewalls, content filtering, URL filtering, antivirus type of experience. Really what next generation firewalls do, including intrusion prevention. That is something that is also embedded within these next generation firewalls. You want to have that kind of experience. Also experience with email type filtering solutions that could also be in place. VPN technologies. Site and client VPNs. You want to get that kind of exposure with your training or the experience that you have on the job. Now, beyond those components, there's other things that are really, really important that I've seen people struggle with, even as a network engineer, but for security is really, really important. And some of these things is you need to understand the process of encrypting and decrypting. That's important. Things about public keys and private keys, RSAs. You need to understand that, because that's very important. Most security people who want to do that do not know that, and it's going to cripple you. So make sure you understand that. You also want to understand protocols, TCP, UDP, applications. Understand all of that, how applications communicate. Because the next thing I'm going to tell you is also important. You got to know how to interpret packet captures. So if you're doing a capture on the network, because there's some kind of a security threat happening to a server, well, the best approach is getting your computer plugged into a network, configuring a span port, and you're probably going to have Wireshark on your laptop capturing data communication from the server in and out. Well, when you're looking at these captures, you got to know what they're talking about. So understanding protocols, applications, how applications communicate is very important to figure out what's being exploited and so forth. And finally, it's important to understand and have exposure to identity access controls. This is something I talked a lot about in various episodes on this channel, But what I mean by that is the ability that you have a security system, and all the firewalls, next generation firewalls do this. But there's also dedicated appliances like by Cisco or by Fortinet that do the exact same thing. Is that you're looking at the identity of the user and how they're logging on to the actual domain, which is very big in Windows environments. Because based on the user and what groups they are a part of, you may have particular policies of what that user can access on the network locally or even the internet itself based on identity access control. So that is something that is very, very big for companies. So having that experience is important. So those are the things to keep in mind. If you want to be a network security engineer, you need to focus on those aspects of the certifications and a kind of training and experience that you must have. Okay, and another question, which is a very quick question, but great question, is where do you find these t-shirts? And this has been asked by a couple of you guys. The shirts that I wear for some of the videos, not today, but for the other videos that you may see on the channel. So those are t-shirts that I actually created because I'm a geek. And there's one thing I realized among the community or among culture. No one represents us as network engineers in terms of pop culture or something like that. So I wanted to do something different, was to create the different type of network shirts that represents your personality, like a VLAN or for the routing protocols. So you can get all of those great details from our website, and you can buy those shirts from our website. They're also on Cafe Press as well. But if you go to rodhub.net/shirts, they'll give you all the information about the different shirts that we have, and you can kind of see more what I'm talking about in regards to the personality that may fit for you and representing that you are a network engineer. It's kind of cool because when I pick up my kids from school, I wear these shirts all the time, you know, TCP/IP, VLANs, OTV, and a lot of people don't know what that means. But that basically is kind of like geek code that I'm a network engineer and I represent the network engineering community. So just check out those shirts, and thanks a lot for those great questions. And another question, which also talked about the network shirts in the previous question that I just asked, is from Race War Ticket for Sale. And he asked a couple of questions, but I'm going to talk about one of them because another one I want to talk about further in its own episode. And he talked about, could you talk about how long you were in each role? Now what he's talking about was, I talked about the different network titles and the different network title roles that I had starting out and what I currently have today. So he's asking, at these different companies that I worked at, how long did I work there at those particular companies doing those particular roles? So let me kind of give you a quick summary of what that's all about. So starting out as a network engineer, where it really counted. I did networking before, but I started out at Cisco and I was there for about 7 months. And I was doing basically technical support at that time. But I was doing technical support with routers and switches and firewalls. So of course that's networking, that's network centric. So I was there for about 7 months. I was a contractor. And after that, I worked for a service provider, an internet service provider. And that was a great experience because it gave me networking at a high level and where everything falls into place. So that was pretty good. And there at the ISP, I was a network engineer, and I also got promoted to a senior network engineer. So that was where that happened, when I became a senior level person. And I was there for about 1 year. So that meant that about 2 years is when I eventually became a senior level person, which actually makes sense. So if you've been doing networking for about almost 2 years, then you can consider that your next step is a senior level position. It could be more, it could be less, but that's a good baseline to follow. Then after that, I went to work for a .com multimedia company where I was a senior level engineer, and I was there for about 2 years. Then after that, I went to work at a financial bank. That was great experience working on a network for a banking infrastructure. So security was really important, and that's great. So I was there for 4 years. I got involved with a lot of great projects, a lot of building networks, building data centers, disaster recovery, great stuff to put on that resume. And then after that, I worked for the Department of Energy, and that's where I was the senior backbone engineer. And I was there for almost 3 years. Then after that was basically what I talked about in other episodes. I had to figure out what I wanted to do next for my career. Do I get into management? Do I do consulting? And I said, well, neither. Let me just do my own thing. So that's when I said, let me be self-employed, start my own company, which is RouteHub, and I would do consulting for other companies. And that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years. I've been doing consulting for hundreds of customers, which is really great. If you really want to get into networking and get that experience really vast, consulting is that best place because you're getting exposure to so many different networks, different environments, different challenges, and really learning how everything really works. Great thing. So if you're a senior person and you're looking at your next step, consultant, not just for your own company, maybe for another company, being a network consultant is really a good fit. So again, I've been doing that for 10 years, including the training that we have on our website. So kind of doing the math here. Yeah, I've been doing this for about 20 years. That's actually interesting. But that kind of gives you an idea of the different roles that I had and how long I had those roles in the various companies in my professional career. And the next question comes from Polychronio, and he asked, I think there is not many open positions in this field, being a network engineer. Cisco just wants to make money by certifying people. And another question that he asked was that communication is hard for me. So let me talk about that. So I want to talk about the one point about communication is really hard, because that is a significant component for what a company looks for when they hire people. How do you communicate in front of the company, the management team, the other engineers, the users, maybe even the customers? If there's any kind of hesitation where they don't understand your communication, it could be a yes or no, very quick, easy answer. I have personally seen that. I've seen management, when I did my interview with the person, asking them technical questions, and the management asking them questions, will be in the room doing basically a recap of the candidate. And very quickly, the management says, I don't understand what this candidate is saying. We can't hire them. Because if I don't understand what they're saying, then our users will understand what they're saying. They'll get frustrated, and our customers could be very angry as well. So we can't hire this person, regardless if they have technical experience. So I have personally seen these conversations many times during an interview process, especially if communication is really important, of communicating to customers and with users. So here's what I usually tell people. Number one, no one is perfect. I am not perfect at all. No one is perfect. What you can do is you want to identify what challenges you have as a person. And let's say that communication is very challenging, okay? Well, there are some things you can kind of do for that. There's really kind of two components to this. The first one is with taking classes, taking communication classes. When I was in college, a long time ago, I took a public communication class. And that was a great class because that taught me how to go in front of many people and give presentations about eye contact and things like that. So I learned a lot of things from that class. So you can do absolutely the same thing. Take communication classes. So there's nothing wrong with that. You can also, and there's also something called Toastmasters if you are around a location. So do a Google search for Toastmasters. And their focus is about people improving how they communicate, talking in front of other people. And that's also very helpful. Now, if English is your second language, you want to take other classes. There's very focused on people who speaks English as a second language. Take those classes to help improve on your communication skills, and the other kind of classes as well. That's really important. Take the classes. to help improve on your communication. Even if your first language is English, it's still important to take these classes for knowing how to communicate. That's important. And also, you want to keep practicing. You want to practice. Now, this may sound weird, but if you need to be in front of the mirror and just talk about something, do that. It's going to help you get very, very comfortable. Because actually right now I'm talking to myself in front of the camera. But that's practice. Just keep doing it. You'll find your rhythm of how you communicate. And really, it's all about taking it slow. Don't talk too fast. I sometimes talk too fast and have to sometimes catch myself and kind of just slow it down. Because when you're talking in front of users and customers, you want to be very, very casual with them. Make it very easy for them and explain things in very simple, logical terms. You do that, you are in great condition. So do some of those things in regards to improving communication. Now, in regards to Cisco, all about the money and certifications, absolutely. But Cisco is not the only one who's been doing this. Microsoft has been doing this. They get a lot of money for the certifications that we take. It's part of their business model. So that's no surprise there, okay? But I can defend it for what it does, and I'll talk about that in a second though. But yes, these tests are really about them getting money. For example, I completed my CCIE my recertification written exam like a year ago. This CCIE written exam is $400. Ouch. That is very expensive. And I'm getting to the point that I need to figure out how far do I want to keep recertifying, because $400 is a lot of money. And that does scream, it's all about the money. It's not about the value of that certification. But there is some value with the certification, especially for the CCIE, because of the lab exam. That still has some credibility when you put that on your resume and when you talk to employers. They still want CCIEs. It's very easy to get a job if you are a CCIE. If you have job experience also on your resume, that's important. Job experience and your CCIE, that is an unbeatable combination right off the bat. Yes, it's a money thing for Cisco or for Microsoft or for the other vendors that do have certifications. But for the high-end certifications, it does give a little weight of value to you going into a company or trying to be hired for a job. If you're doing just the CCNA or the CCNP, it can be more challenging. So you want to kind of keep those factors in mind. And in terms of your comment about there aren't many open positions in your field, I'm going to say basically what one other user has posted, and that is by Network for the Win. And he said, I believe for someone is from another country than the US, it can be difficult. Better opportunities are in the US. Basically, location, location, location. Where you live really makes a big deal. It makes a huge deal. So if you live in a city where there are not a lot of opportunities, yes, you're not going to find a lot of open opportunities for a network engineer. That is definitely going to happen. And as I talked about in that particular video or many videos, when I talk about location, is that you may have to make some tough choices. That could involve you moving to a location basically near a bigger city where you have more potential opportunities. So like I said, for me, I live basically like in the San Francisco Bay Area in California. Plenty of jobs out there. But if you live in other locations, there's probably just a couple of them. I remember one user talked about, is there any network positions in the Bahamas? There was nothing from my research. So you want to keep those factors in mind in regards to when you're looking for a job and if you're finding it challenging of finding positions. It could be that your location doesn't have a lot of those type of opportunities available. And we're done with this episode of Ask the Network Engineer, speed round number 1. Again, I want to do more of these speed rounds because I want to answer all your questions that you guys are asking. So once again, there'll be more of these to come. And as always, keep the questions coming. So post your questions below in the comments about anything in the networking field or being a network engineer, and your question will come up in a future episode on this channel. So thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel, that means a lot. And check out our video training that we have on our website at routehub.net. So until next time, keep networking.